Marcy Winograd. It's great to be here tonight, and I want to thank Venice. 54% of Venice voted for me last June when I challenged Jane Harmon as a peace candidate. I also want to thank Vista. 53%, who's counting, right, voted for me in Mar Vista. I challenged Jane Harmon as a peace candidate. I am still a proud peace candidate. This time it's jobs with peace. We have to connect the dots, as Steve said. We have a near $1 trillion military budget, and our cities are starving. I'm a teacher at Congressional High School. We just got 19 layoff notices next year. What a travesty this is, that in arguably one of the richest countries in the world, we are starving our youth. This is wrong. We need bold leadership, not the status quo, to go to Washington and shake it up. The elephant in the room, as Steve mentioned, is this military budget. I don't call it a defense budget. It is a military budget with bases in 3/4 of the world. If we substantially reduce our military budget, if we cut out subsidies for big oil, the nuclear industry, how about that? If we raise money through a penny tax on stock trades, we could put America back to work. Imagine that. Everybody, full employment. Full employment. Congressman John Conyers has a bill for full employment. I support that. I support our students, a new education initiative, not No Child Left Behind, that leaves every child behind. I support green jobs and transitioning our aerospace industry in the South Bay to a green energy capital. Thank you so much. Yes, I absolutely support the resolution to alter the flight path and close the 6 flight schools. I offered a pledge last year. I asked Tom Cruise to sign it. He didn't, but every assembly candidate did, pledging not to fly into or out of that airport. I joined Mar Vista residents and Marty Rubin and West LA residents protesting in front of the airport last week. In Congress, I will introduce, legislation to prohibit jet traffic at airports where there is no buffer zone between the airport and the residents who live there. That's wrong. The larger question is, do we have any regulation of these airports that's effective? Do we have any oversight of the FAA? We need somebody in Congress who's going to demand that we have this kind of oversight and join hands with others in residents in neighborhoods where there are similar situations, so that it is not just a local issue with us fighting by ourselves, but we are a nationwide movement to demand greater regulation. Thank you.
Another okay to assassinate a foreign head of state. I didn't write the questions.
We do not have the right to assassinate foreign heads of state. We have to respect the sovereignty of the nations of the world. In fact, I would say we have to respect the fact that it's wrong to kidnap people. Extraordinary rendition is wrong. It's wrong to torture or look the other way while those who are working with us in Iraq are torturing their people. We have to respect international law. I support the International Criminal Court. I would like to see the United States become a member of that court. I think for far too long we have used violence to resolve our problems, but violence only creates more violence. War creates more wars. We have to think differently, and we need a different paradigm in Washington. Because unfortunately, our Congress all too often surrenders its power to say no. And we have to stand up. We have 3 branches of government, and by all means, let's have a Congress.
All right, another question in this round. We'll begin with Marcy Winograd. Do you believe we have a problem with respect to the salaries and pensions of our federal workforce? If so, what steps would you take to alleviate those pressures on the budget?
The public workers have worked hard. They've served the public. They've paid into this system. They sacrificed wages for pensions. And now we're asking them to give up those pensions when they already sacrificed their wages. This is wrong. We can solve this budget mess, but it means that we have to realign our tax structure. Look, 1% of the population owns 40% of America. So clearly, they are not paying their fair share. Neither are corporations like General Electric, reaped $15 billion in profits last year and paid zero taxes. So let's stop scapegoating public workers in Wisconsin, New Jersey, Ohio, Indiana, and on and on. Let's demand accountability for corporate welfare. That has got to stop.
We now arrive at the closing statement portions of the forum.
Thank you so much, Mar Vista Neighborhood Council, Venice Neighborhood Council. It's been great to be with you tonight. I have a plan. This plan is to go to Washington and work with the Congressional Progressive Caucus. It's great to lean over and work with the other side of the aisle, but you have to have some strength to do that. Otherwise, you take a pretty bad beating. So my plan is to go and work with the Progressive Caucus, hold out for a public option at the very least, hold out for an end to this supplemental war funding. And I'm proud that unlike the other leading Democrats in this race, I readily signed that declaration from Veterans for Peace outside that says, I vow to vote against future war funding for Iraq and Afghanistan except to bring our troops home safely. You cannot oppose these wars and vote to continue funding them. One of my opponents, who has a Green Jobs and Peace plan, in that booklet it says she wants to keep half of the troops there until 2015. That's like 150,000 troops. That's not peace, that's more war. Okay, so what do? We organize in Congress, and we protect the right of states, the right of California to pursue single-payer health care, which is the most economical system there is on earth. We fight in Congress for education, not for war and more war. We fight in Congress to make the South Bay the solar capital of this country. It would be a great honor to serve you. Thank you so much.